Okay, so 6:03 p.m. I will call to order the January 15th meeting of Easton's Master Plan Update Committee. And we'll start off with roll call. Should I go through everyone's names and?
That's usually easiest.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to go on my list here. Danielson.
Here.
Devonshire.
Here.
Defensor.
She is not on yet.
Okay.
We'll be late.
And I apologize if I butcher any names again. Please correct me. Is it Drown? Drowan?
Drown.
Drown. Okay.
And I don't see Stephen on.
Okay. Lopes.
Here.
Smith.
I don't see Ernie here either.
Not yet. Babbitt.
Here.
Zygmunt.
Here.
Percio.
Here.
Loomis. Not here. Davis. Not present. Mulcahy. Not present. Dostumian present. Okay, great. So we have a quorum. And the first order of business will be to accept the open session minutes from our December 18th meeting.
You need someone to make a motion?
Oops.
I move to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay, so we'll do the roll call again? Okay. Pangelsson?
Yes.
Zygmunt?
Yes.
Babbitt?
Yes.
Mulcahy?
Yes.
Percio?
Yeah.
Devonshire?
Yes.
Lopes?
Yes.
And Dostumian, yes. Great, thank you. And with that, I think we can hand it over to Heather Gould for an update.
Hi.
Hi, Heather.
Thanks for having me. We have a few things to update on. We've had a couple of calls now with Wayne and Stephanie, and we have talked through a public engagement plan and an approach for documenting progress made from 2014 to date. So those have started. That will consist of looking at an action plan matrix. Stephanie and Wayne are going to have that kind of first go at looking at what's been achieved over the last 10 years, what's in progress, and then they're going to review that with me and my team. And we're going to kind of reevaluate once we've completed that exercise. We have worked with Stephanie and Wayne on a stakeholder list. We will have a day-long session of interviews on February 12th with key stakeholders that we think should be involved in the process, and that includes department heads as well as the business community. And that will culminate at the end of the day with an in-person session with this committee. So we have that kind of being scheduled on, and again, it's February 12th. We have a community event that we're looking at scheduling for February 26th. And that will be a brief presentation in an open house style type of engagement. And right now we're working on preparing some of those tools that we'll use in terms of making sure that the public is aware of the project and can provide input. A website, Project Hub is how we're referring to it. It's through the ArcGIS platform. We should have that ready to be live next week. We have a crowdsource map that we are going to put together for the town, which will allow people to go on and provide location-based input, whether there are certain intersections that are problematic or areas where sidewalks can be identified if there's a need for them and they don't exist. Where there's concern over like wetlands protections or any kind of environmental issues like flooding, where they'd like to see a park or improvements to parks. All of that information can be captured. They can pinpoint a location within the town and they can say, this is the type of improvement we'd like to make there. If it's helpful, I can show you an example from a different project we've worked on, and that way you can see how it's laid out. So this is for the town of Yarmouth. I don't know if I'm able to share my screen though.
You should be able to. You should
Okay, I
be
see
down
it.
at the bottom.
Yep, I do. Okay, so this is how the platform will look. We'll have a base layer as an aerial of the town, and then we'll be able to have people find a location, say, you know, there's a comment here that was made. Great to see improvements at this public golf course. So anybody, if they're looking for a certain location, can search by that location or address, and then they can drop in a comment that they'd like to see based on different topics. And we can work with the committee to figure out what topics they'd like to see. It can be filtered by different topic areas. So we just think that this will be a helpful tool in terms of helping to identify what people's current perception of priorities and needs, improvements, and the like are. This is something we can keep open as well. We don't have to have it be, you know, like an online survey is only available for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or the like. We can leave this open longer so that it's available before any kind of public engagement happens. But then if people come and they weren't aware of it, they can then go after the fact. We'll give them the information on how to access it and be able to provide their feedback as well. And that'll all be tied to this project hub that we're going to create. So we just think that's going to be a really useful tool to get some input and have people be able to engage, even if they're not able to make in-person meetings.
So Heather, how are you identifying the areas in your map?
These ones on this map, let me share it again, sorry. They're identified based on climate resiliency, community character, housing characteristics, land use and development, municipal services and facilities, natural resources, open space and recreation, transportation, water quality. And those are the particular elements that the town of Yarmouth down on the Cape were really wanting to see on the map. We can cater it to the specific master plan elements that Envision Easton already has, or if there's another element that you like to add that you think is missing from that list, then we can add that as well.
And you do include other, so
Yes,
if the community wants to speak to something other than what's on our list.
correct.
Okay.
Yes. And at the end of the day, we can also create a dashboard that helps to display the information in an easy to read way so people don't have to scroll through every comment. They can kind of get the gist of what the comments are based on that dashboard. There's also a really neat component to this type of crowdsource map, and it's the ability to upvote a comment or downvote a comment. We like to focus on the upvoting ones, but people are able to say like, yes, I agree with this comment, or no, I don't agree with this comment. So that is something that you can sort by, you know, highest voted, and there, you know, there's some interaction there where if people agree with a comment about a certain property, it's an underutilized property that's been sitting vacant, we like to see something done with it, and people are like, yes, I agree, I was going to come and put that comment in, then they don't have to put the comment in, they can just upvote it.
So Heather,
Yes.
To be clear, it's just an up or down vote. It doesn't allow them to add any kind of comment, so, which might be particularly helpful
Mhm.
if they didn't like it, but they could, if they really wanted to counter,
They could
they
still,
could put their own,
correct. They
okay.
could still make a comment. And there's also going to be a comment box on the website itself, the project hub that we have, which will say, if there is, provide your comments, thoughts, general feedback, anything you'd like to provide. And we'll be able to see that through that, that tool as well. But for this particular exercise, I think we've found that it's pretty helpful in terms of getting people to comment specifically on certain areas where they think development could go or where they'd like to see more walkability or accessibility or, improvements to public spaces. So, and there's ways to change different layers in the maps and view the information differently as well. So, we just think that will be helpful to put out there and see what we get here in Easton.
Heather, are there going to be instructions for people on how to use them, like a short little video or
Yes.
something?
Yes, we had to put that up in Yarmouth as well. So we have
Yeah.
kind of the base to work from, and that'll be on the project hub as well.
Great.
And how does, where everything's on social media these days, is there a page in which I could imagine some of the Easton pages promoting that? Is that something that can connect as well?
Yes, we can provide a link, and then that link can be included in the description that gets posted. If there's an infographic with it, it's a lot harder on social media to have kind of an interactive graphic, but within that text description below it, that can include a live link. So we're, the website Project Hub will be completed hopefully the end of next week at the latest. The crowdsourced map, we can pull together something for people to look at and respond to, and then we can finalize it after that. And it can be one of those things where it won't go live until there, a certain time. We're talking about pulling together flyers that can be distributed, particularly looking at how we can distribute information to the public school system, whether that's through some kind of text message or if there's an email blast that gets sent out or the like, whether flyers can go into kids' backpacks, those kinds of things to direct people to both the Project Hub and to notify them of public engagements that will be happening.
I think that most parents use Parent Square.
Mhm.
That's sent out.
So yeah, it'd be through that digital platform then. We're talking about having a
So
photo
could
contest.
we just take a moment on that? Beth, what, I'm sorry, you called it Parent Square?
Yep, Parent Square.
Is that through the school system?
Yes.
Yep.
And how would we interact with that? Is that something that Wayne and I could reach out to you on, or is there someone in the school system you'd suggest we talk with?
I would assume, I think it's Leisha or Dr. Cabral who has access to everything. So that might be the best person to talk to.
Thank you.
I will say, and it's very good because a lot of, myself included, things just got lost in emails. So it's nice to have just the app, and especially you can go and search it.
It's kind of like district-wide, and then it breaks out into each school. So if there's a particular notification for the middle school will only, parents will get it, or, but there's also a district-wide distribution as well. It's how they communicate with all the parents now.
Right. I wish they had that when my kids were in school.
This is just the first year of it.
And there are, opportunities for press releases in the print publications, the Brockton Enterprise, the Town Crier. So, we'll still have advertising in those spaces as well. And we're talking about a photo contest, and the photo contest can be linked to the Project Hub. And we can put an email, whether it's a generic email that BSC creates related to Easton, or whether the town can create something to have people send their photos to that we can then use in the final deliverable that we create. So that's just something we like to do to get some nice images and, obviously provide credit where credit's due and all of that with permissions. But it helps to kind of get more community input into the process as well. So that's where we're at in terms of our timeline. I'm going to share that as well. I will just pull it up. We had lost a little bit of time with the holiday in terms of jumping into the project. We've started to do some of the background existing conditions research, but we have a little bit more work to do there. We had originally planned for stakeholder meetings to happen in January, but those will be bumped to February, which I don't think is an issue. Early February versus end of January, it's not a whole lot of difference there. So our baseline analysis, we're still going to complete within the months of January and February, working on a progress update over the next 3 months, and an action plan update in February, March, April. What we're proposing is to shift the draft to we'll be working on it in March, but I don't think we'll be able to provide like that first draft until April. So where you see the yellow, that's where we've shifted the timeline a little bit. But that doesn't impact the end date of July in terms of having that final product completed, which was within the time frame of the RFP. So we're shifting a little bit, but I think we'll be able to crunch a lot of things out over the next several months and, provide that update that the town's looking for. I don't know if there's any questions.
Oh, that was awesome. I love the map.
Question for the group. Does the adjustments in timing, do we have anything we need to have for a May town meeting?
Not for the master plan, Kelly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just thinking about like previews and the budgetary conversations that'll come in May and then again in November if we needed any information for May. We don't.
Right. Yeah. No, I can't think of any. Normally the town meeting would be an opportunity, maybe during registration and people coming in, to have like a poster board or something. I think we can think about that. I think we all know that it's going to be a somber town meeting this year. But again, this is about the future of Easton and based on everybody's input. So we can think about that.
I think that's a good idea.
So Heather, you talked a little bit about the public session on the 26th, which is that, I was just looking at the calendar. That's actually, we have a meeting before that. That's right. We have the meeting on the 12th.
Correct.
Which is an in-person meeting. Just want to remind everybody. We are going to do that. We have ECAT house because we were going to do it. I need to confirm this up with Melissa, my assistant. She's been working on this, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have it at ECAT house because the meeting, because the Colleen Corona room is booked that night.
Can you remind me of the date? I feel like we moved the date and I didn't write it down.
We did. It's on the 12th, which is the second Wednesday and not the third Wednesday.
Okay.
So I'll confirm with Melissa tomorrow where that meeting's going to be, and we'll send an updated meeting invitation to everyone. The stakeholder meetings, that the interviews that Heather mentioned, I have reached out and we have, so I have it. I printed that out too, but we have all the stakeholders scheduled, except we were going to see if we could get either Tom Broussard or Nancy Donahue to join us for one of those sessions. I have a feeling, because Tom and I normally are able to communicate on a fairly regular basis as needed, but I haven't heard back from him, so I'm sure that pace is taking up an awful lot of his time.
Is that for the 12th, Stephanie?
That's on the 12th, and we're doing those during the day. Okay. So BSC will arrive around 10 o'clock, and we'll be conducting, I think we've got 4 or 5 interviews set up. I received very, very strong response from the Chamber of Commerce and a couple of our local businessmen. The Chamber's going to reach out to some of their members. I've asked Neil Levine to join us. He has been very helpful in the past in giving feedback on the business community and some of the challenges they face, especially during COVID. But even since then, we've had business forums jointly held with the Chamber of Commerce. And, you know, he talks about the affordability of housing and how that impacts his ability and other small businesses to hire people and keep people. So that he has some really good insights. And I have Kevin O'Dwyer from Langwater Farm, who is going to be joining us as well.
Great.
And I think what you'll find at the February 12th meeting is a breakdown of the conversations that were had, quick recap of the things that were discussed, as well as that preparation for the 226 public meeting that's going to be had. So we'll be prepared to come talking about that. Prior to that, we are going to need help with, particularly the committee's help with just, you know, making sure that the information gets out there about this meeting on 226 and about the actual project hub, the website that has all the information. So we will be looking for you to be able to distribute that to the people you know, your connections, your networks, whatever groups you're involved in. If there's somebody who wants to take on a social media type of posting role and helping make sure that information gets out there, that would be great as well. You know, every little bit helps in trying to reach as many people as possible. So.
Heather, have you guys done any, and I don't even know if it's within the budget of this project, but have you guys ever done any Facebook advertising to raise awareness of surveys or any of this stuff? We've done some in our projects at OCPC, and it's worked really well, and it's not too expensive.
We have not, actually. We've always tried to rely on having some champion, somebody who's really familiar with the ins and outs and the nuances of putting things out there through social media as a representative of that community. But we can definitely take a look at it and see if it's something that we could incorporate. I'll make a note of that right now.
Joanne, you use a company, is that what you were saying?
No, so I work, my day job is as a planner as well. I kind of do what Heather does. And we use it in some of the projects that we do for communities and in some of the regional planning that we do. And we've had pretty good success for like $100. It's even that has seemed to be worth it. Particularly drawing in.
What is it that you use?
Just Facebook advertising in particular. Yeah. So you essentially create a post and you can boost the post for $100 and create like your target age group or geography or whatever. It's a pretty straightforward process, but it seems to have been pretty effective.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Joanne, could I connect you with someone on my staff if she has questions on it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions?
All
Comments?
sounds great. I think they've got a good plan.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's agenda item number 2. The third is kind of rolled into this, what we're discussing, the role of the board in building public awareness and participation, which is kind of what we're discussing now.
Yeah,
Is there
I'm
anything-
kind of wondering if the whole PACE committee and what they've done, what we've heard is that their open house last week was very well attended. A lot of information was absorbed by people, and they're talking about it. And I think, again, it's kind of an interesting subject to roll off of, but I think that may actually help us get more people out. We're also a little concerned, Wayne and I have been talking about this, and I think we may have talked a little bit about it with Heather and Jeff. We're also a little concerned about public engagement overload, where, you know, people are being asked to come out and give their feedback, learn about the community, but at the same time, based on the response last week, it might be that people are starting to see, gee, this is a really important time in Easton's history, and having the opportunity to weigh in and provide comment and gather information is really beneficial to the community at large.
I think the latter, Stephanie, especially since our ask is going to be for feedback and not money, you know?
Yes.
I think people will be more likely to be clued in, paying attention, and prepared to give feedback.
Yeah.
Feels like we can do something tied in with our anniversary too, right? There's got to be some way to tie into the tricentennial, and like, where do you want Easton to go? We're at 300 years, especially if someone's really good with the social media part of it and
Yeah.
good ideas and nothing beyond that. I fully admit, but like, there's some way to, I think, tie into the fact that we're in this year. If we had, like, I don't know, a table at an event, or we were able to sort of tie into some of that, there is that, where are we going next?
Yeah. And Kelly,
We are. Yeah.
that's one of the things we've been talking about, opportunities where we can have a poster board and members out at various community activities and talking about that. So I'm writing down right now. I hadn't thought about that. That was a really good suggestion about targeting. I'm writing targeting this tricentennial committee, asking them to help promote this as well. And I think that's such a good tie in there, because, you know, here's the past 300 years, and where do we go from here?
I think one thing that we should be considering is that many people will be confusing the 3 major kind of initiatives going on right now: PACE, Tricentennial, and the master plan. So I think maybe the logo, getting that kind of a branding thing down, just to distinguish us and our role and what we're doing. Because I think it will probably get confusing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Joanne, I'm going to put you on this spot for a moment. I have not had a chance to share with Heather, primarily because I was trying to get a file of the shovels that I then would be able to send along. So Heather, I'm going to surprise you here. But after the last meeting, Joanne kind of cobbled, I wouldn't say cobbled, that's not a good word, morphed the Envision Easton logo, or a facsimile thereof, with our new wayfinding logo. And I thought it looked pretty good. Do you have it handy and can share it?
I do. I can't take any credit for it because it was entirely done by an AI software. But it's fun to play around with and can give you some really good ideas for what to do. Keep talking about something else for a minute, and I'll dig it up here for a second.
Okay. Well, so get branding down. I don't know, what else do we need to talk about at the moment?
I was going to ask, I wonder if, is there like, have you guys thought about, because I know there was, I think an MVP 2.0 project had done a survey recently in Easton that I remember applying to. I think there was an open space plan survey. Heather, are you guys going to be looking at those results as well
Yeah.
to see what might be relevant in your master plan?
Yes, as long as they're available, that would be incredibly helpful.
Cool.
All right, I have it.
I'm looking.
Oh, good.
No, I just saw it.
Let me see, share my screen right here. And let's see, I don't know how to zoom into it. How well can you see it, and how well can you see it?
I can see it.
I can, yep. I like it.
Unfortunately, when you put an image in Outlook, like an email, I can't expand this, even though it makes it look like you can. It doesn't let me.
You can't. It's strange. You'll see that AI has some trouble with like the, the ordinal direction things as well too. Like it can't get a compass right and stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway,
So that was the idea.
I like it.
So
So is that
Heather, if this is something
yeah.
that you folks could work on for us, what I can do is just send, and I was thinking, we try to use like the Envision Easton and then the shovels over that. I can send you images of each. I just don't have, I think, is this the proper term, a rasterized file? I don't know.
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah,
It's a design file. Yeah.
a file that's able to be manipulated.
I can share this with the person that I'm going to have work on this, and we have the ChatGPT software as well.
That's what I used. Yeah. So you'll have a lot of fun with it.
we can get some ideas, and we can then come up with something that has accuracy a little bit more than, I mean, it comes
And
up
better
with some
colors.
really cool images, but then you're like, if only that word wasn't there, or so yeah, we can play around with it.
And I think I liked the compass idea because it's you're setting direction.
Is there any element that anyone else would like to see incorporated somehow?
In the logo?
Related to the town, yeah.
I think I appreciate that we are certainly a lot of farm, but I wonder if there's the picture on the right with the person holding the dog. Is there a way to also put something that's a little bit more modern in it? Maybe like the Target or something.
What about putting like a facsimile of Blanche Ames School? I mean, I think that building is pretty stunning and it'll give us a chance to show it off.
That is, but that's kind of hard to get into a logo without. But boy, when we do the cover, Michael, I mean, there's a real opportunity. So when Heather talked about the photo contest, one of the things we were thinking is that, of course, these photos could be incorporated into the document itself. And I think things like highlighting the new school, even at that, they won't even broken ground on the public safety buildings, but images of that, other images that people like to see can be part of that. It's not promoting the master plan prior to that, but I think that's something to think about too. What kind of photos do you want to see oh, here's Sarah. I hope she hasn't been sitting there and I missed her before.
And the cell phone is Chris. Actually, he's leaving the office, so he's transferring to that phone.
Oh, Chris Slopes. Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. I will. Thank you, Wayne. So Heather, I just sent you those two files.
Okay, thank you.
What have you seen work really well, Heather, in your other communities when it comes to like the board helping with the outreach and participation? Is it mostly kind of the social media stuff, or I don't know?
Well, I think it's two parts. It's making sure that people are aware. So you're championing this process, right? You're the ones that are helping to make sure that it happens. I think awareness and education with all of the people that you know is one thing. I think also it's showing up and it's being there for these events and helping and, making sure that if it's an open house, if there's a certain element that you're especially interested in and knowledgeable about, then like you're at that area and you're helping to facilitate people's thoughts and have conversations and get their feedback that way as well and reporting that back if it's not captured like on the paper. I think it really is just that kind of having eyes and ears out and making sure that people are aware and providing your feedback and your expertise and your experience. So that's where I see it coming. And then, once we start pulling together all of the materials into a cohesive document, there's the review process and, providing that feedback in that way and all of that. And if there's something that we miss or something that you don't agree with, I mean, that's what this is for, is to have that conversation, hold us accountable and have a final product that we can all be proud of. So
We've discussed on previous meetings, but considering the success that Pace just had on its open house, I'll bring back up the business cards.
Oh, yeah. The business.
Something they did was effective, and that is one thing they did use. So
Yeah.
keep that on the list of things.
And can you just remind me, Nikki, what that was about? I know you had mentioned it, but I
They had just one business card sized kind of an advertisement, just a few bullet points, the link, I think maybe a QR code so you can scan it, go to the website. Just a couple little things. So at events, they're easily distributed, maybe a little less likely to be lost or thrown away than a flyer, and just easy to pass around.
So I'll show you, this is not the PACE one. This is for park, Memorial Park, we're redeveloping. We have information about the park on this side, how you can donate to the park costs. And then on the other side, we have a rendering of the park.
okay.
And these are things, we handed these out at the fall NRT meeting. We also had them when we were working on our MBTA zoning. So, and it does, as Nikki mentioned, it has a QR code that will get you to the website so you can get more information about any of these projects and any of these efforts. And then the website would lead you to, we probably put that link to our page, Heather, and then the link to the hub.
Sure. Okay.
And just for longevity too, what happens to the crowdsource map and the hub and stuff after the project is over? Is that going to be able to be maintained for record?
We can transfer that over to the town if the town wants to accept it. I mean, we can look at keeping it active, probably not indefinitely, but if the town has the capability, we have transferred over those prior crowdsource maps to towns after we've completed projects. So.
Do we have any more questions or? That's all I have as chair on the agenda. I don't want to hold people up longer than we need to. Everyone good?
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay. And so our next meeting the 12th?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And that is in person.
Yes.
All right.
Do we need a motion to adjourn?
I can second it. I'll go through. Danielson,
Aye.
Zygmunt,
Aye.
Babbitt,
Aye.
Percio,
Aye.
Defensor,
Aye.
Devonshire.
Aye.
Mulcahy.
Aye.
And Jumian. Aye.
And just before we sign off, Sahara, ECAT, of course, is recording the meeting but we also have a recording that we can, in the cloud, we can send you to if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
I'll have Melissa send that to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thank you all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.